All right. Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday night. My name is Natalie Shower. If you don't know me, I'm a senior Ruby. And we are working through the book, Get Over Yourself, omitting naughty words. So chapter 9 and 10, we are talking about follow-up and duplication, two things that are extremely important when it comes to this industry and this business. I love in the beginning, she just went for it and said, it's the rule of 7. It takes usually a minimum of 7 exposures for people to actually hear what you're saying. And I mean, I know they're actually bumping that up now statistically. They're saying it's more like 10 to 12. And I love what she said about, first, the amount of noise each of us is bombarded with every day is staggering. And I think that's important to keep in mind because there is just a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise around us. We have a lot of things going on. We've got kids sports, and we've got this that we're helping our parents with, and we've got church commitments, and we've got school commitments, and we've got our own work, and we've got this business that we're trying to build over. And so, well, if we're following up people, they don't, but you know what I mean? Like, we've got a lot going on in our lives. People have a lot going on. And so sending them a message, even though they've seen it, I always tell people there's no such thing as being left unread here. Like, that's not a thing with network marketing. They just leave you unread. Chances are, if they're like me, they're probably in the middle of dinner, their hands are full of chicken, whatever, and they saw it and they're like, what is this? Click on it and they're like, okay, I'll get back to that later. And then they just never do. So the fortune is in the follow up with them 7 times, or like I said, it's more like 10 to 12 at this point. Did anyone have anything for that specific section? Okay. So I'll say this, it's funny. So the first time that I read this book, I was looking and I had some notes over here, and it was something that she touched on later. But on page 124, when she's saying that, failure comes not from getting no, but from failing to keep following up with the no. I can't tell you, and I wrote this on the side, like, how many times have I been reaching out to somebody and I've done it once or twice, maybe even 3 times. And then a few months go by because I think I'm bugging them. And then all of a sudden they're being added to a team that's not mine. And I'm like, I reached out to that person. What in the world? And, honestly, it's nothing personal against me. It's really just that the timing was right for that person. And I don't know how many times that other person reached out to them. They could have hit the 7 mark for all I know. But if you've been reaching out to somebody, don't let them go to somebody else. Don't let that happen. Keep following up with them. Keep reaching out to them, okay? Because you want them, you want to be the first person that they think about when they decide that they want to start getting their gut healthy, or they want to start losing weight or whatever. Like, you want to have talked to them about this so much so that they know my go-to person when I'm ready to get started on any type of health goals or health journey is going to be, Natalie or whatever. So keep that in mind as you want to keep following up as often as possible.
I like how she says to repeat after me. I'm not being pushy. I'm being professional. Because, that little thing in the back of your head, you're like, oh, I don't want to keep bothering them or anything like that. No, you're being professional. This is a business. So you're going to keep reaching out to them until they say, leave me alone. So I just thought that was something really good.
Yes, Jessica, I love that too. I had that underlined. That is so important because the thing is you're not, more times than not, you're not being pushy. Again, they just have so much noise going on and it's not a priority to them. We forget that this is a priority to us, right? It's our priority. It's not theirs. So we need to make sure that we're helping them to make it a priority, identifying those pain points, and just keep talking to them. Yeah, I love that too, Jessica. It was so good. Did you kind of feel like she let you off the hook a little bit when she was like, don't get down because the people you're talking to aren't jumping right in to become your team member or your customer. I mean, really, why should you be able to defy the numbers game dictated by human behavior in our noisy world? Unless you've got superhero powers of mind manipulation, this is how it's supposed to be. Like, because it is easy to get down on yourself and take it personally and think you're doing something wrong when people aren't responding. But it's a numbers game, and we've heard this from 4 jillion people. Like, it is a numbers game, and that's what it boils down to: how many people you can talk to and how many times you can talk to them. So there's just, I kind of felt a little let off the hook there of like having to put so much pressure on myself to be perfect at the first reach out, because it's like, why would I unless I have superhero powers.
I like the part where she was talking about reaching back, like with the business, like anytime you hit a milestone, I think I felt like for a long time, it was easier for me to reach back about health stuff and about, hey, we've got this new product, or, hey, I know we talked about these health goals, but like, especially if somebody's not talking back to you in regards to the business and you're not really playing ball, like to be able to reach back about the business. So I remember the first time that we read this and she's like, when you have a big milestone, like pop in there. Or even, I think she was talking later, like if you have someone else on your team that is relatable to them, make sure that you're like saying, hey, my friend who's a teacher, she's, one rank from matching her income, whatever. I think that's really, really helpful, that we need to be reaching back about the business just as much as the products, for sure.
Yeah, I liked that too. I think too, a lot of times people see that we start this business and they're like, okay, so is it actually even working for them? Or are they just like, throwing things on Facebook and saying this is the best opportunity ever? So when you can go back with social proof, I just hit this rank, or I just, paid this with my check or whatever, like it starts to give that social proof that like this is a real legitimate thing. So I like that too. Yeah, so we have the reach back reason rules for reasons, I guess. Updating them on your business. That was a really good one. Anyone have any more to add to that one? We can kind of go through the rules a little bit.
I just like that she's putting these reasons in here at all, because I find myself, I've noticed a trend where I, will reach back out and be like, is this a better time to, chat? And it goes silent from there. Whereas I feel like with these reasons to reach out, I kind of used some of those this week, and I have noticed that it is definitely more successful when you have a specific purpose for your reach out, rather than just like, is it a better time to chat now? Like a lot of people just kind of ignore that. It's like, no, like Natalie said, there's too much noise. It's never a good time for me to sit down and chat. So I just like that there's reasons altogether.
I love that too. Kind of eliminates the small talk. Like if you guys are like me, I hate small talk. It just drives me crazy. So it just gives you a reason to be talking to people. If someone wants to talk to me, I'm like, just tell me what you're wanting to say to me. So it kind of gives you a talking point to come back with. All right, new product launches. We've all done these. Anyone had any specific success on this one?
I find this is a good one for your 0 to 99s a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's kind of fallen off. I feel like a new product launch is one of the best reasons I have found and most successful, ways to reach back to someone who liked the products in the past but may have just fallen off. And, it's a good reason to get back with them and talk about their health goals again, and maybe get a new pack that adds the new product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Candace, I saw your thing. Hydrate was a good one for me too. So many people, especially with the increase of like liquid IV and all that kind of stuff, it was a really easy one to go back to people and be like, are you using this? Oh my gosh, you should see what we just released. Like it's a way cleaner version of something you're already using. It'd be a great replacement for you. Yep, and greens, those are all good ones.
I've had this with the Joyome. I had a lady that had pretty much stopped ordering. She wasn't seeing the results she wanted. And then I reached out to her and said, we've got this new product with the Joyome cleanser. And now she's pretty much ordering regularly. So that made a big difference.
That's awesome. That cleanser was bomb. That cleanser was a huge talking point for us. I remember collagen was a big one when we dropped collagen because so many people were looking for a good collagen. So when that launched, I think we all like peed ourselves a little bit and then ran to, sorry, I just said that on book club. And then we all ran and started instantly reaching out to our 0 to 99s about it. You know, it was awesome. It was a huge one for me. All
I
right.
found it easier as well to kind of relate more on a personal level. So like for me, I'm a mom of 4. So when the new kids line dropped, like I have a lot of mom friends. I work in the schools constantly. So it was really easy for me to make that connection with people I don't know, or, you know, someone that I seen on the PTO, like, oh, hey, do your kids take vitamins? Because these have done wonders for my kids. And then we are a huge sports family. So the hydrate was huge. I mean, I would throw sticks of it in my daughter's sports bag. And, you know, so then her whole team was seeing her have it. And, you know, then I had it and my other kids. And so like, I found that it was easier to be more personal, you know, especially with the drinks, because they see it. And I sent my husband, you know, to work with it. I'm like, hey, go to work with this. And it's funny because Natalie's dad and my husband work together. So, you know, just walking past each other, cheers, and they're active together. It's great. But I just found it was easier to be more personal with things like that than like, hey, I have this really awesome product. It's a probiotic. And people are like, meh, never mind, you know? So it was just easier.
That's a really good point, Cody. I found the same thing where I'm like, oh my gosh, we just released this. And I know I'm super excited about it for this specific reason. And I know you're like me in this same avenue. So I thought this might be something that you're interested in as well. That was a really good point to make it personal. All right, reach back number 3, an event in their city. Can we talk health and happiness tours? That's a big one. I know this is kind of a hard one to talk about right now because there's not a lot of events going on. We're just now starting to pick up on events again. So everyone's like, well, I'm new, so I haven't really been able to do a lot of events yet. But health and happiness tours are a really great way to reach out to people and get them plugged in, because I know that they'll do like opportunity events and things like that. They just did something in Dallas where they were doing a monthly opportunity event for 90 days. And so that one is really cool too. Reason number 4, good news or media coverage about your company. I've seen a lot of people posting about this recently because we got a high award or whatever it's called on the BBB. So I know I've seen a lot of people posting about this. Has anyone reached out with this? All right, reach back, reason number 5, to be a go-giver. Did anyone else go and put this on their Amazon list? I went and put it on my Amazon list. I'm like, well, I need to read that one. So did y'all read about that one a little bit? How you can serve others? So the one thing that stuck out to me in this section is a lot of times I think what we do, and I kind of talked about this, I think on a team call a couple weeks ago or on book club or something like that. But I think a lot of times we present, here's a product that I have, and it would really help me out if you bought my product and supported my business. And, you know, like sometimes it could come across that way, where if we position ourselves in, I'm here to serve you. And so it's like talking to them and wanting to do life with them. We've said a lot, going for transformation and not transaction. So trying to find pain points with people and trying to figure out what it is that they need more, where it is that they need more hope in their life. And then wherever they need more hope, being able to offer what you have that would fill that thing. So it's like just offering triplex to everybody and being like, hey, it'd be great if you supported my small business, is a way different approach than like, where are you struggling in your life? Where do you need more hope? Okay, so finances are an issue for you and you've been dealing with a lot of digestive issues. Okay, so I've got a few things that I would love to talk to you about, and being able to position it that way so that you're more serving them instead of them serving you by supporting your small business, which is fine. But sometimes I think that, you know, that's a lot how these specific industries could come across, is like, well, do it because you support me, not how can I serve you? So I love this perspective on it. Yeah, our team is very good at that. I loved her when she was talking about meeting, I think it was the nurse on the plane. Which one was it? Yeah. And she found an article about healthcare experts. And so she was able to circle back around and say, this article made me think of you, and I thought you'd find it interesting. You might even know some of the folks quoted. I'm enjoying keeping up with you on Facebook. Looks like your son's birthday party was a blast. Happy spring. And I think a lot of times we can meet people, you know, wherever, connect on social media or whatever, but then we're not sure where to go with that. I loved that approach of, you know, finding something that you learned about them and finding something that relates to them, and then circling back around and be like, I'm loving being your friend on Facebook. This is so fun. Hope you're having a really good holiday season. And not even going into necessarily, you know, your product or your business just yet, but just starting to develop that relationship with them so that they learn to have some trust in you.
I actually did this today. A friend of mine got COVID and got sick and ended up being congested. So I suggested something to her, and it worked. And somebody else got sick, so I suggested it to them, and it made me think of her. So I followed up to see how she was doing, just to see how she was doing. And now we're meeting tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things where, you know, serving others and caring for others up front, and that being your primary objective, is just more rewarding than anything. And it, you know, it's what happens, makes it a lot easier. They feel more seen.
Yeah, Anna, that's awesome. Way to go on that. I love where you said it's more rewarding to position it from the perspective of, you know, serving others.
Yeah.
So good.
And it's kind of like they come to you with it. Like, I didn't go to her with it. I haven't talked to her in a while about it. You know, she wasn't ready a while ago, and I just keep checking on her to see how she's doing.
Yeah.
You know, she's also got 4 boys, so you know, we have that in common. And so just following up with her ended up her coming to me. You know, so definitely easier that way, because then they're ready.
Yeah, I love that. Timing was good. All right, reason number 6, pregnant, new baby, or kids starting school.
This one was actually really good, I thought, because I love that she gave like a time frame for what she looks for with her pregnant friends. Because I actually had something happen recently where I reached out to someone, and it was kind of the person that was on my chicken list. It was a chicken lister, and it just happened to be at the exact right time. And I think it was right in the time frame that you know, that Romy suggested, and it worked like beautifully. Like, she was literally, I sent my like business reach out that, you know, was personal to her, congratulating on our baby and everything. And I didn't know her really well. We're connected through church, but I don't really know her well. And she was like, oh my gosh, this is really amazing timing. I've actually am looking for ways to supplement my income. You know, can you tell me more? And now we're in conversation, and she'll likely join my team soon. So I thought, I never really consciously thought of it that way, but I think that is a good, it's a good strategy, because you are going to have a lot of mamas that don't want to go back to work and will be open to listening.
I love being like, it's like reading the room too. You know, you definitely don't want to jump on a postpartum mama the first week. You know, we're like, no, I haven't slept in, I don't know how many hours are in a week, but I haven't slept in that. Or no, let's add in 3rd trimester. So I haven't slept in a long time, not looking for anything new. But that 4-month mark, you're starting to kind of get into a rhythm. Now you're starting to go back to work. You don't want to go back to work because you just love your baby. So it's a good timing to start reaching out to those people.
I totally laughed at that, because that was so true for me. Like that 4th month, I was just like, yeah, I don't like this. Now, granted, nothing changed then, but yeah, that totally made me laugh.
Yeah,
Perfect timing.
exactly.
Well, and I think too, like reaching out during pregnancy is huge as well. I mean, I noticed such a huge difference between my first 2 pregnancies to my last one, where she was a full plexus baby, and just like feeling the difference. I mean, we've all been pregnant at some point. You're miserable. You're feel like a bulbous beached whale all the time. And, you know, everything hurts. And so when you find something that makes you feel amazing and is safe for your baby, because everything is not safe, you know, nowadays, for painkillers and, you know, that sort of thing, you can't help but shout it from the rooftop. So I had a lot of, when I was pregnant, I had a lot of pregnant mamas, you know, reach out to me because they're like, dude, you are glowing. You are walking 4 miles a day. What is this magic? So it really, again, that personal touch. And I think, Natalie, you reached out to me when you knew we were trying and stuff like that. But I mean, you know me on a personal level. So, you know, that was a huge thing for me. It was something safe that I could continue to supplement throughout pregnancy and postpartum. And my milk was insane. I donated hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ounces of milk because I had so much versus like my boys to then. And that's huge to some moms, like huge. So it's great talking points.
Yeah, exactly. I think you talk to really any mamas who have had plexus babies and they can all pretty much tell you a lot of the same results. So be confident when you're talking about those things too. All right. And then when someone just like them succeeds, I think Leah, you touched on this a little bit earlier, like with the realtor thing or whatever, but yeah, this was a really good one. Anyone have anything to add with that one? So I like where she's talking about putting this in action. And she says, every day for the next 6 days, pick one of the reasons we've covered and think about who you can reach back to using that reason as a hook. Shoot for at least 3 people for each reason. I loved this because it almost gave us like a follow-up Frank's list. You know what I mean? Like we always talk about the Frank's list of like, think of friends, think of relatives, think of acquaintances or whatever. But this almost gave you like a follow-up Frank's list. Okay, so who do I know that I have someone on my team that's just like them? Who do I know that's pregnant or, you know, just had a baby? Or who do I know that is, I don't know. Like it just gives you 3 people in each category so that it can really help you to step up that follow-up game and be a little bit more intentional with your follow-up. So I really loved that. And then of course I had to underline again where she says, how pissed are you going to be if you reached out 4 times to someone, but it was another business builder who reached out on the 5th exposure when it was the right time for your prospect, and she joined that person's team and that person becomes her customer. She should have been yours. Make sure she always is. That's where the follow-up is so important because we've all been there and it all feels like a little bit of a punch in the gut. But if we really look at it, I think we can all be like, okay, it had been like a few months since I followed up with them. Dang it, I missed that one, and then move on. So we're just happy that they're finding someone to work with so that they can start feeling better. All right, we only have a few minutes, but this is like a couple pages long. Key to duplication. We have been hounding this on my team, I know, for the last 2 months. Duplication, duplication, duplication. And we've been diving into our systems, diving into our teams, diving into our levels to see what is duplicating, what is not. And we have made some huge headway, I know, just with improving duplication on our team. So did anyone have anything that really stood out to them from this couple of pages here?
I think it's always a good reminder that your team is going to do about half of what you do. You know, I thought that was something that we've all been told, probably if we've been in this business for a little minute. You set the pace for your team. So it's kind of a little kick to the booty to like make sure that you're doing your IPA every day and, you know, going above and beyond to serve your team and reach out and do all the things that we're supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. I highlighted that too. Your people will do on average half of what you do, and those are your runners. That's not even the people that are just kind of sharing. So if you want your sharers to do at least half of what you're doing, you need to be going even more over and above normal. It is a humbling thought. I thought that too. I doubt there was really any person that read that and was like, oh, thank God I do enough. I think every single one of us probably looked at that and was like, okay, check on that one. Step up my game a little bit. Working to be the top producer on your team.
Natalie, do you have anything like that? You just said you've been hounding this in your business lately, but specific to our business and even like the BU group, things that are like, I mean, I kind of know like with Jamie and Sue, what our like non-negotiables are for duplication, but any new things that you guys are like tossing around, or things that are like, yeah, these are easy ones to let through that you're really coming back to, just as I just love learning from all aspects.
Good question. I think what we've really, I was just talking to Emily about this the other day. I think the few things that stand out to me that we've been finding or that we've been fixing is, first of all, like the enrollment process, making the enrollment and the onboarding process one, because I think when it kind of boiled down to getting people onboarded, there was a lot of things that were getting missed, or like things weren't being communicated. And so having like an enrollment, and I'm getting ready to actually put this all into resources so that, you know, my team can look at it and easily just be able to do this. But like what an enrollment phone call looks like and all of the points that you're going to want to hit on that phone call so that all of these things are covered and that's all duplicated to the next person. And so everybody's getting the same information when they're being onboarded. And then they're being, you know, make sure they're being added to Gut Health and Happiness and BU and Pink Power. And then make sure that they're getting like the onboarding process, I think is so important and we don't give it enough weight, to be very honest with you. It's so important. And then adding them to those three-way chats right away. Everybody needs to be honestly completely onboarded within their first 15 minutes. And so, yes, Shelly has a good onboarding PDF in there too, in the team page, but everybody needs to be onboarded in the first 15 minutes. And then just making sure that the check-ins are happening every single, like, we've been almost duplicating like when they first get their products almost every day in that first week, and then kind of making sure that the same things are being hit. We've also been looking at, I just had one in my head. Oh, resources, like third-party resources that we're sending to people, trying to get everybody kind of on board with what resources that we're sending. Because I think one thing I did not do well, and the reason duplication didn't work is because I didn't make it work in the beginning. So that's where things come from leadership down. And so if there's holes in your team, that's where you can see where your weaknesses are. So one thing that I've had to step up is duplication onboarding and being tighter in my systems, and then having to basically go down into my team and say, these are some things that we need to fix and things that we need to tighten up. And so, you know, a lot of things that people are running into is like, hey, I have so-and-so that's interested in the business. What the heck do I send them? Like nobody knew like what to send people. And yes, there's resources, but there's almost like so many resources out there that sometimes it can be overwhelming for a new person who's just like, give me a video. Just like, I need a video, one to send to people for business, so we're trying to just nail down like, what are the very specific things? What are the systems, the send, share, invite? Sorry, I'm taking a lot of time, but these are things that we've really just kind of nailed down in duplication and making sure that they're happening. And once we tightened up those things, we're seeing a ton of forward movement in that. Same with like verbiage and how we reach out to people. We've also been adding people to making sure our new sharers are getting their potentials into three-way chats right away with their sponsor, because more of this is caught than taught. So making sure that they're actually able to see what that process looks like, because just telling them to do send, share, invite isn't the same as them watching it a few times and understanding what that looks like. So that's just for my team specifically, what we've been doing, what we've been tightening up. Your sponsor might have a few different ways that they are doing things with their team or whatever, but I know once we tightened up those things, we've been having a lot of forward movement. Sorry, that was a really loaded question for me. It's really hard for me to not answer or to answer in a short sentence.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Did anyone have anything else to add on duplication? I know one thing that we've been doing too is the Zoom calls. I know y'all have heard me talk about that like a million times, but we've been doing Zoom calls every single week with anyone that's running on our team, and duplicating that down to where it's like now everybody is making sure that they're getting on a coaching call weekly. And because, you know, my level one is hearing me ask the same questions over and over again, they know what to ask their people, and then they know what to ask, you know, so like a lot of it is just simplifying, I guess, and just modeling what coaching looks like even. So like, stop talking, start listening more, like things like that, you know? So that's something that we've been duplicating a lot too. And so I made me think of that when she was talking about the 3-way calls. I think it's on the last page where she talked about that. You know, we can teach, we can coach, we can inspire, we can collaborate, we can laugh. And so teaching and coaching, a lot of that comes from listening, and that's where duplication comes in. Did anyone have, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I had that same line, and all the way to the end of that line, I mean, she has all that stuff. We can laugh, we can coach, blah, blah, but we can't motivate. And for every, I mean, that just takes like a lot of, it takes a lot of the pressure off those. And like, as you start leading people, like everyone has to find their own why and their own motivation of like, that's just something you can't do for anyone. And I had to come to that point in my own self as well, to be like, today's the day, let's go.
Yeah.
But bless Sue's heart that patiently waited for me for like 5.5 years to actually do something with my business.
I feel like Sue and Sal are really good at like these specific things, like just really like inspiring and loving people where they're at, and just keeping them in the systems, you know, not as like a number or a process, but just keeping them plugged into the system so that they can find what they need in the meantime, and then just keep inspiring and loving on them. I think they really have the market on that one. Anyone else have anything before we wrap up? Like I said, it was really short. Probably why they gave me this section, because they knew I'd talk a lot. All right, well, we will go ahead and let y'all go. It is 9:03, 10:03, depending on where you're at. So, all right, next week, chapters 11, the BS we tell ourselves, and karma's a B if you are. So we got some real good ones coming up, all right? So make sure you guys, if you don't have the book yet, grab it. You still have time to catch up. Excited to talk to y'all next week.